What a joy it is to connect with you again. I would say what a joy to see you, but of course I can't see you as I'm recording this as a video. Perhaps I will get to see some of you when I watch the service, and I do look forward to whenever I am in Carbondale again. Many thanks to Susan and Patrick and Andrew and everyone who helped put this service together. It's hard for me to believe that it has already been 5 years since the last time I spoke at True. For those of you who are new to the congregation since then, I was True's minister on a part-time basis during the pandemic lockdown year, from June of 2020 through July of 2021. I had been to True several times before then, in the era when Jim Calloway sat at the same table at the poorhouse every time he went there, and while I served as executive director of the ACLU of Colorado. It seems appropriate that I'm participating in today's service remotely because we had to invent remote ministry together that year, and everything was remote. Every worship service, every meeting, every spirituality reflection for most of that time. I finally spoke live in Carbondale my last 2 Sundays before moving to South Carolina the summer of 2021. The move to South Carolina was for a good reason. The election of my wife, Ruth, as Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of South Carolina, the first woman ever elected to that position. I soon got involved in the South Carolina Unitarian Universalist State Action Network, known as SCUJA for short, and I have to say, be grateful for your state politics. I would love to have the political issues of Colorado again over the political environment in South Carolina. Even so, I am proud of what we have been able to do. We were right in the middle of the recent redistricting fight, and I'm happy to say that the collective action of many people and groups led to South Carolina being one of the only southern states to disobey White House orders to redistrict before the midterm elections. There is a new UU state action network that is in a process of formation in Colorado, by the way, and I hope you will support and connect with it. Beyond my work with SCUJA, I've gone on to spend the rest of my working time as the minister for the UU Fellowship of Beaufort, a bit of a commute from our home in Charleston. They call that whole region the Low Country, quite a contrast with Colorado. 10 feet above sea level is considered high ground, and the threat of sea level rise is not just academic. I've already been in ministry there for a year and a half. I have found it very meaningful, and I still hold a warm spot in my heart for the unique year of ministry that I had with you. When I think about ministry in Beaufort and also with you at Two Rivers UU, time has flown since that summer 5 years ago. On the other hand, when I think about politics and the midterm elections, much less the election of 2028, time seems to be moving like molasses. How can so much damage have been done to our democracy in just a year and a half? What is the way out? And how long, O Lord? Our perception of time is like that. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes both. When you're waiting for an elevator or maybe waiting for a web page to load on your computer, a minute seems like a very long time. Yet, if you are rushing to get something done before a deadline, the minutes seem to disappear in the blink of an eye. When you are young, a summer seems to stretch out to the horizon. But as we get older, the years seem to pass more rapidly. They say time flies when you're having fun, and sometimes that's exactly true. But how we perceive the passage of time is a lot weirder than that. When we wake from sleep, we normally don't feel like time has passed at all. When we remember something familiar from long ago, it can seem like yesterday. But when we focus on how much has changed during that time, it can seem much longer ago. Science tells us that time is much weirder than that. We imagine that there is something like a universal flow of time, with this moment being the same now everywhere in the universe. But relativity theory says otherwise. Time is not absolute, and especially at speeds far higher than we can travel in practice, motion could cause us to age at different rates, with time flowing differently for an observer or the observed. Space is not absolute either, and time can be described as one of the dimensions of the space-time continuum. While we may have studied all of this in physics classes to one degree or another, relativistic effects are generally imperceptible in our daily lives, and we don't think of time in these ways in normal circumstances. That's fine, but it is strange to realize that the fundamental nature of time is different from the ways that we usually think of it. Even as a dimension of the space-time continuum, a distinguishing feature of time is its directionality. Cause and effect or changes go in one direction, cumulatively and irreversibly. Despite plenty of time travel movies, and even with some strange quantum entanglement effects, there does not appear to be a way to travel backwards in time, except in the sense that we do it with our memories and our imagination. Most of us have come to think of time as linear in that way, a process of change going from past to present to future. But for much of human history, our experience of time has been more cyclical than linear. Today is the summer solstice, the longest day of sunlight in the northern hemisphere, although the opposite in the southern hemisphere. Agricultural seasons that come around again and again have shaped human life for millennia, and many religious holidays are rooted in those cycles, not even limited to earth-centered traditions. Of course, the cyclical and linear aspects of time are not incompatible. Even as the seasons flow, people are born and grow and age and die. Life cycles repeat as well, but as individuals, we experience the one-way direction of growing older. It is worth note that in addition to the summer solstice, today is also Father's Day. There are among us many different experiences of fatherhood, such that Father's Day is a loving and sentimental holiday for some, and a complicated or difficult holiday for others. One thing I will say about Father's Day is that I have yet to hear a man near the end of his life wishing he had spent more time at work making money. It is far more common to hear wishes of being closer to children, having spent more time with family, or having learned to be a father in a different and better way. Time touches every holiday and every relationship or milestone in our lives in some way. We're just a couple of days beyond Juneteenth, a holiday that is basically about the time it took for the Emancipation Proclamation to be communicated throughout the land and to become more real in practice. Proclaiming our values or ideals is never enough. It always takes effort to put them into practice. Even with regard to slavery, we are not truly done. The impacts of slavery still run deeply through our society, and the 13th Amendment never fully abolished slavery and involuntary servitude. It left a loophole for slavery as punishment for crime. Colorado was the first state to amend its state constitution to abolish that loophole in 2018. Now 9 states have passed abolition amendments. It took 8 years, but there has finally been a Colorado court ruling limiting forced labor practices under the authority of 2018's Amendment A. And that's just a first step. Once again, the principle isn't enough. We have to put it into practice. And if we slide backwards, we may need to do the work all over again. We are almost to the milestone of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, at an odd time when the democracy we celebrate is under attack, bending under the weight of corruption, lies, injustice, and autocracy. 250 years is a blip in geologic history, but it's a long time for a nation, especially in these fast-paced years. I honor the lives of the indigenous peoples who were here first, the enslaved peoples on whose backs the wealth of this nation was built, the idealists who established our democracy and the Bill of Rights, and those who fought to end slavery, expand the vote to women, fight fascism in Europe, and expand economic justice and civil rights here. I hate that we are where we are right now, but what can I do other than to keep working to make our best values and ideals real? I don't want to take America back to some imagined better time. I would rather make America better than it has ever been before. Will I live to see it? Probably not. I know my years of doing this kind of work are dwindling. But just as I honor those who have gone before us, I want to hand off opportunity and a commitment to justice to those who will come after us. One of the hardest things about time is that it often feels like we don't have enough of it to do all the things we want to do. We know our lives will end, and we wonder what, if anything, comes after that. We may wish for eternal life, although I'm not clear what that would really mean and whether it is really even something to be desired. If we experience some kind of afterlife, that's wonderful. But would we continue to learn and grow and change? If we can change indefinitely and infinitely, what becomes of our identities and relationships? And if we don't change, what is the difference between one moment and that same moment lasting forever? Perhaps in that sense, we have eternity already. If we imagine the universe as a whole, we know at least that our lives are woven forever into the space-time continuum. Nothing can ever erase or take away that reality. Perhaps eternity is just another perspective on time. We may still have the feeling that we don't have as much time as we want, but the reality is time is always there throughout our lives. The sense that time is moving fast or slow is more about our psychology and our perceptions than it is about time itself. The question is less about how much time we get and more about how we use the time that we have. When I remember that first year of the pandemic, it seems slow and fast at the same time. There was so much loss. I don't want to forget that millions of people died from COVID with a disproportionate number in our own nation. But for me, it was also a sweet time, without all the rushing, together with my family for months on end, and still serving in ministry with you at True. How we use the time that we have can affect our own perception of the passage of time and how much meaning we experience within it. These are troubled times, to be sure, but we aren't alone in our response. We experience more meaning in our lives when we build community, when we focus on relationships of love and care, and do the work we can for justice, and for the flourishing of this life in this world. Along the way, I hope you let yourself enjoy the gift of life itself, the small things we can enjoy, even when life is difficult or painful, the beauty of summer days, the glory of nature, whether it is the mountains of Colorado or the winding waters of the low country. Listen to music, practice mindfulness, try something new, go outside and give yourself a break from doom scrolling. All of these things affect our perception of the flow of time. Clocks are not our enemy. We use them to coordinate our efforts with each other in community. But we also need days where we wake up with no alarm and have no need to know what time it is. Then we come together again to build beloved community. Because of the directionality of time, we can't see the future, but we can imagine it, hope for it, work for it. There's plenty of work to be done, especially in the months ahead, if we are to save and then improve the democracy we say we are celebrating this summer. I'll be doing my part in South Carolina, while I know you will do whatever work has your name on it in Colorado. If we ground ourselves in our values, ground ourselves in relationships, and ground ourselves in gratitude for the gift of life, the time we have will stretch and embrace all the joy and meaning that a life can hold. Many blessings to you. May it be so.